Welcome back, Rare Coin Insider. Imagine holding a small, ordinary-looking coin in your hand, something that most people would ignore, something that might even get lost between couch cushions or dropped on the street without a second thought. And yet, that very coin carries a story stretching across decades, a story tied to American history, industrial change, and the fascinating world of coin collecting, where even the smallest detail can transform a simple piece of metal into something incredibly valuable. The 1986 1-cent coin, often called a penny, is one of those coins that at first glance appears completely normal, but the deeper you go, the more layers of intrigue begin to unfold, drawing collectors and enthusiasts into a quiet obsession over its design, its composition, its minting process, and the possibility, however rare, that one specific variation could be worth far more than its face value. To begin understanding this coin, you have to step back into the historical context of United States coinage during the 1980s, a time when the country had already made a significant shift in how pennies were produced. Before 1982, pennies were primarily made of copper, giving them a heavier feel and a different tone when dropped on a surface. But due to the rising cost of copper, the composition changed, and by 1986, the penny was made mostly of zinc with a thin copper plating. This change reduced production costs, but also introduced subtle differences that collectors would later study carefully, searching for anomalies, mint errors, and variations that could set one coin apart from millions of others. Now, the D in 1986 D refers to the mint mark, indicating that this particular coin was produced at the Denver Mint. This small letter, positioned just below the date on the obverse side of the coin, is easy to overlook, yet it plays a critical role in identifying where the coin originated. The Denver Mint has produced billions of coins over the years, and in 1986 alone, an enormous number of pennies were struck there, making the 1986 D penny extremely common in general circulation. But here is where things start to become interesting, because in the world of coin collecting, rarity is not always about how many coins were made. It is about how many unique or unusual versions exist within that massive production. The design of the 1986 D penny follows the classic Lincoln cent style that had been in use since 1909. On the obverse side, you see the profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, facing to the right. This design was created by Victor David Brenner and has become one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. Above Lincoln's head, the word Liberty is inscribed, while the phrase "In God We Trust" arches along the top edge of the coin. The year 1986 appears to the right of Lincoln's portrait, and just below it, the small D mint mark quietly indicates its origin. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the reverse design that was used for decades before being replaced in 2009. This side features two stalks of wheat framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin motto E pluribus unum positioned at the top. However, by 1986, the wheat design had already been replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse, meaning the 1986 D penny actually displays the Lincoln Memorial building on the reverse side. This structure is centered, with the words 1 cent at the bottom and United States of America above it, while E pluribus unum sits at the top edge. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue within the memorial, a detail so small that it often surprises people when they first notice it. The weight of the 1986 D penny is another important characteristic. Due to its zinc core and copper plating, it weighs approximately 2.5 grams. This is lighter than the older copper pennies, which weighed about 3.11 grams. For collectors, this difference in weight can be crucial, especially when identifying transitional errors or rare variations where the wrong metal composition might have been used. These types of errors are extremely rare but highly valuable, and they are one of the reasons why people continue to examine even the most common-looking pennies with such careful attention. Now, when it comes to the claim that a 1986 penny could be worth as much as $198 million, this is where reality and myth begin to blend. In the world of coin collecting, there are indeed coins that have sold for millions of dollars, but these are typically extremely rare, historically significant pieces with unique errors or limited mintages. The vast majority of 1986 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, or slightly more if they are in uncirculated condition. However, the idea of a penny being worth an enormous amount of money captures the imagination, and it drives people to search through their spare change, hoping to discover a hidden treasure. What truly gives a coin like the 1986 penny potential value is not its age alone, but its condition and any unusual features it might possess. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from heavily worn to perfect mint condition, and even a small difference in grade can significantly impact the value. A 1986 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition with a strong, clear strike and no visible damage can be worth several dollars to collectors, especially if it has a bright, original luster. But if that same coin has a rare mint error, such as a double die, off-center strike, or a misaligned die, the value can increase dramatically, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. Another factor that adds to the intrigue of this coin is the concept of rarity within common coins. While billions of 1986 pennies were produced, only a tiny fraction might exhibit the specific characteristics that collectors are searching for. This creates a kind of hidden rarity, where the coin itself is common, but certain variations are incredibly scarce. It is this possibility that keeps collectors engaged, constantly examining coins under magnification, comparing details, and learning to recognize the subtle signs that could indicate something special. As you continue to explore the story of the 1986 penny, you begin to realize that its true value lies not just in its monetary worth, but in the history it represents and the curiosity it inspires. It is a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry significance, that something seemingly ordinary can become extraordinary under the right circumstances, and that the world of coin collecting is filled with endless possibilities for discovery. And this is only the beginning, because as we move deeper into the details, we will uncover the specific errors, collector secrets, and market realities that truly define whether a 1986 penny could ever be considered a valuable treasure. As you continue to dive deeper into the world of the 1986 1-cent coin, the real fascination begins when you understand how collectors actually determine whether a coin is ordinary or something truly exceptional, because in most cases, the difference is not visible at first glance but hidden in microscopic details, subtle variations in the strike, or rare production mistakes that occurred during the minting process. These mistakes, often called mint errors, are the heartbeat of high-value coin collecting, and they are the reason why someone might spend hours examining a single penny under magnification, searching for something that most people would never notice. One of the most talked about error types is the double die error, where the design of the coin appears slightly duplicated, as if the text or image has a shadow. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is improperly aligned during its creation, causing a doubling effect. On a 1986 penny, if such doubling appears clearly on the date, the word "Liberty" or the phrase "In God We Trust," it can significantly increase the coin's value. However, true double die errors are extremely rare, and many coins that appear to have doubling are actually the result of machine doubling, which is far less valuable. The difference between the two requires a trained eye, and this is where expertise becomes essential. Another highly sought-after error is the off-center strike, where the coin design is not properly aligned, leaving part of the coin blank while the rest shows the design shifted to one side. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin can be, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Imagine a 1986 D penny where nearly half of the design is missing due to an off-center strike, yet the 1986 D is still readable. This kind of coin could attract serious attention from collectors and potentially sell for a substantial amount. There are also coins known as clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is literally missing because the metal blank was improperly cut before being struck. These coins have a distinctive curved or straight missing section, and while they might look damaged to an untrained eye, they are actually considered legitimate mint errors and can carry collectible value. A 1986 D penny with a clean, well-defined clip could be worth far more than a regular penny, depending on its condition and the size of the clip. Then, there are more subtle errors, such as die cracks, where small lines appear on the surface of the coin due to cracks forming in the die over time. These cracks can create raised lines on the coin, sometimes forming interesting patterns that collectors find appealing. While not all die cracks add significant value, certain unique or dramatic examples can make a coin more desirable. Beyond errors, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its value. Collectors use a grading system that ranges from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70, with MS70 representing a perfect coin with no visible flaws even under magnification. A 1986 D penny in circulated condition, with scratches, wear, and discoloration, is typically worth only its face value. But if you find one in mint state condition, especially MS65 or higher, it can be worth several dollars or more, particularly if it retains its original red color, known as red or RD in grading terms. Color is another surprisingly important factor. Copper-plated zinc pennies, like the 1986 D, can appear in three main color categories: red, red-brown, and brown. Red coins are the most desirable because they retain the bright, original luster they had when they were first minted. Over time, exposure to air and handling causes the coin to darken, turning it into red-brown and eventually brown. A fully red 1986 D penny in high grade can be significantly more valuable than a brown one in the same condition. Now, when people hear claims that a coin like the 1986 D penny could be worth $198 million, it often stems from misunderstandings, exaggerated listings, or misleading online information. In reality, no 1986 D penny has ever sold for anywhere near that amount. The highest prices for pennies are usually reserved for extremely rare coins, such as the 1943 copper penny or the 1909 SVB Lincoln cent, which have unique historical and production factors that make them exceptionally valuable. However, the idea of a penny being worth millions continues to spread because it captures attention and fuels the dream of discovering hidden wealth in everyday life. That being said, there is still real value to be found in 1986 D pennies, especially if you know what to look for. Certain high-grade examples have sold for impressive amounts at auction, sometimes reaching hundreds or even over $1,000, particularly if they are certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These organizations authenticate and grade coins, providing collectors with confidence in their purchases and helping establish market value. The collector community itself plays a huge role in determining the value of coins. Demand can fluctuate based on trends, new discoveries, and the overall interest in a particular series. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most widely collected in the world, meaning there is always a steady demand for high-quality examples and unique variations. This demand ensures that even relatively common coins like the 1986 D penny can have a place in the market, especially for collectors trying to complete a full set in top condition. Another interesting aspect is the idea of roll hunting, where collectors obtain rolls of pennies from banks and search through them for valuable coins. The 1986 D penny often appears in these rolls, giving collectors a chance to examine multiple examples in hopes of finding a rare error or a high-grade specimen. This activity has become increasingly popular, turning coin collecting into a kind of treasure hunt where patience and knowledge can lead to exciting discoveries. As you continue to explore this coin, it becomes clear that its true significance lies in the combination of history, craftsmanship, and the endless possibilities hidden within its details. Every 1986 penny has a story, from the moment it was struck at the Denver Mint to the countless hands it may have passed through over the years. And while most of these coins will never be worth more than a few cents, the possibility that one might be different, that one might hold a hidden error or an exceptional level of preservation, is what keeps collectors searching, learning, and appreciating these small pieces of history. And as we move forward, the journey becomes even more intriguing as we uncover the deeper collector secrets, the myths versus reality of extreme valuations, and the precise factors that could turn an ordinary penny into a highly sought-after collectible. As the exploration of the 1986 1-cent coin continues, the line between myth and reality becomes even more important to understand, especially when massive figures like $198 million are mentioned, because in the world of coin collecting, numbers like these are not just about rarity, they are about historical significance, uniqueness, and verified auction records. And this is where many collectors, especially beginners, often get misled by viral claims or exaggerated listings that circulate online. The truth is, while the dream of finding a life-changing coin in your pocket change is incredibly exciting, it requires a grounded understanding of what actually drives a coin's value in the real market. To truly grasp this, you need to step into the mindset of serious collectors and investors who analyze coins not just as objects, but as assets with measurable characteristics. The first and most critical factor is authenticity. Before anything else, a coin must be verified as genuine. Counterfeit coins do exist, and although it is rare for common pennies like the 1986 to be counterfeited for profit, any coin that claims to be extremely valuable must go through professional authentication. This is why grading services like PCGS and NGC are so respected, because they provide a standardized evaluation that the entire market can trust. Once authenticity is confirmed, the next major factor is grade, and this is where the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth hundreds of dollars can become very real. A coin graded MS67 or higher is considered extremely high quality, with sharp details, strong luster, and minimal imperfections. For a 1986 penny, reaching such a high grade is difficult because most coins from that era were produced in massive quantities and entered circulation quickly, accumulating wear and damage. Finding one in near-perfect condition is rare, and that rarity within condition is what drives value upward. Then comes eye appeal, a factor that might seem subjective but plays a powerful role in pricing. Two coins with the same technical grade can have different values depending on how attractive they look. A coin with bright, original red color, smooth surfaces, and strong visual contrast will always be more desirable than one that appears dull or uneven, even if both are graded similarly. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a piece of art and history combined, and that emotional connection can influence how much they are willing to pay. Another layer of value comes from population reports, which track how many coins exist in each grade. If only a handful of 1986 pennies are known to exist in MS68 condition, for example, those coins become extremely desirable because they represent the best of the best. Even though billions were minted, the number of coins surviving in top condition can be surprisingly low, and this creates a kind of artificial rarity that collectors compete for. Now, when it comes to the idea of a 1986 penny being worth $198 million, it is important to clearly separate fact from fiction. No verified sale or auction record supports such a valuation. Even the most expensive coins ever sold, such as rare early American coins or unique historical pieces, have reached values in the tens of millions, not hundreds of millions for a modern penny. Claims like these often originate from misinterpreted listings, clickbait headlines, or simple misunderstandings where someone confuses a listing price with an actual sale price. In some cases, individuals list coins online for extremely high amounts hoping that someone might pay it, but that does not reflect the true market value. However, this does not mean the 1986 D penny is without importance or potential. In fact, it serves as a perfect example of how modern coins can still hold collectible value under the right circumstances. For instance, a high-grade 1986 D penny with exceptional eye appeal and full original red color can sell for anywhere from $10 to over $100, depending on the grade and certification. If a rare and dramatic mint error is present, that value can climb into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, making it a worthwhile coin to examine carefully. There is also a psychological aspect to coin collecting that cannot be ignored. The idea that something so small and common could be worth a fortune taps into a universal desire for discovery and transformation. It turns everyday activities, like checking your change or opening a roll of pennies, into moments of possibility. This is why stories of rare coins selling for huge amounts spread so quickly. They inspire people to look closer, to pay attention, and to believe that treasure might be hiding in plain sight. For collectors, the 1986 D penny represents more than just a coin. It represents an entry point into a much larger world filled with history, detail, and endless learning. It teaches patience, observation, and the importance of knowledge, because without understanding what to look for, even a valuable coin could go unnoticed. At the same time, it reminds us that not every coin will be a jackpot, and that the true reward often lies in the process of collecting itself. As you hold or imagine holding a 1986 D penny, think about the journey it has taken, from the moment it was struck in the Denver Mint to the countless transactions it may have been part of, passing from one person to another, quietly existing as a small but constant part of everyday life. And then consider the possibility that within that ordinary journey, there might be something extraordinary waiting to be discovered, a tiny detail, an unusual feature, or a perfect state of preservation that sets it apart from the rest. And as this journey continues, the next layer will reveal even deeper insights into how collectors track market trends, how auctions determine final prices, and how you yourself can identify whether a coin in your possession might be worth far more than you ever imagined. As you move further into the world of the 1986 D 1-cent coin, the focus now shifts toward the real marketplace, where coins are not just studied or admired, but actively bought, sold, traded, and evaluated by collectors, dealers, and investors who rely on experience, data, and timing to determine what a coin is truly worth at any given moment. This is where the journey becomes practical, because understanding how the market behaves can help you separate a simple collectible from something that could genuinely bring in a meaningful amount of money. In the coin market, prices are not fixed. They fluctuate based on demand, availability, condition, and trends within the collecting community. For a coin like the 1986 D penny, which exists in massive numbers, the baseline value remains extremely low. However, when a coin is certified in a high grade such as MS66, MS67, or beyond, it enters a completely different category where collectors are willing to pay premiums for quality. Auction records have shown that high-grade examples of modern pennies can sell for surprisingly strong prices, especially when two or more collectors compete for the finest known pieces. Auctions play a crucial role in establishing real value. When a coin is listed in a reputable auction house, it is exposed to a global audience of collectors, and the final sale price reflects what people are actually willing to pay, not just what someone hopes to receive. This is a key difference from online listings where coins may be priced at unrealistic levels. For example, You might see a 1986 penny listed online for thousands or even millions of dollars, but unless it actually sells at that price, it holds no real significance in the market. Serious collectors always look at completed sales, not asking prices. Another important factor in the market is certification. Coins that are graded and encapsulated by professional services, like PCGS or NGC, carry much more trust and credibility. A certified 1986 penny with a grade of MS67 red, for instance, is far more desirable than an uncertified coin that appears similar. This is because certification removes uncertainty and provides a standardized assessment that buyers can rely on. As a result, certified coins often command higher prices and sell more in the market. The concept of top population coins adds another layer of excitement. These are coins that represent the highest known grade for a particular issue. If, for example, only a small number of 1986 pennies have been graded at MS68, those coins become extremely valuable within the collecting community, not because they are old or historically unique, but because they are the finest examples available. Collectors who aim to build the best possible sets will compete for these top-tier coins, sometimes driving prices far beyond what most people would expect for a modern penny. Now, let's talk about how you can personally evaluate a 1986 penny if you happen to find one. The first step is to examine the coin under good lighting. Look closely at the surface for any signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration. A coin that still has a bright, shiny appearance with minimal marks is a good candidate for higher value. Next, check the details of the design. Are the lines sharp and clear, or do they appear worn down? Strong details indicate a better preserved coin. After that, focus on the mint mark and the date. Use a magnifying glass or a coin loupe to inspect these areas carefully. Look for any unusual features such as doubling, misalignment, or irregular shapes. These could indicate a mint error, which is where the real potential value lies. Even a small but genuine error can make a significant difference in what a collector might pay. Weighing the coin can also provide useful information. As mentioned earlier, a standard 1986 penny should weigh around 2.5 grams due to its zinc composition. If you find a coin that weighs significantly more, it could be an anomaly worth investigating further, possibly even a rare transitional error, although such finds are extremely uncommon. Still, this step adds another layer of verification and can help rule out or confirm certain possibilities. Storage and preservation are equally important. If you believe you have a high quality or potentially valuable coin, it is essential to handle it properly. Avoid touching the surface directly, as oils from your fingers can damage the coin over time. Store it in a protective holder or coin flip to maintain its condition. Even small changes in condition can affect the value, so proper care is critical. As the market continues to evolve, the 1986 penny remains a fascinating example of how even modern coins can hold collectible interest. While it may never realistically reach a value anywhere near $198 million, the excitement surrounding such claims serves a purpose. It draws attention to the hobby, encourages people to learn, and reminds us that value is not always obvious at first glance. It teaches you to look closer, to question assumptions, and to appreciate the details that others might overlook. In the end, the true worth of a 1986 penny is a combination of its physical characteristics, its condition, its rarity within specific categories, and the demand from collectors who see something special in it. It is a small piece of metal, yes, but it carries with it a story of production, circulation, and possibility that continues to capture the imagination of those who take the time to understand it. And as this journey reaches its final stretch, there is still more to uncover, final insights, hidden truths, and the ultimate perspective that ties everything together, showing you exactly what this coin represents in both the world of collecting and in the broader idea of value itself. As you reach the final stage of this journey into the 1986 D1 cent coin, everything begins to come together, forming a complete picture that blends history, reality, and imagination into a deeper understanding of what this small coin truly represents. By now, it becomes clear that while the idea of a $198 million penny is more myth than fact, the real story is far more meaningful, because it reveals how value is created, how perception influences worth, and how even the most common objects can become extraordinary under the right conditions. The 1986 D penny stands as a symbol of mass production and accessibility. A coin that was created in the millions and distributed across the entire United States, quietly becoming part of everyday life. It passed through countless hands, used in transactions so small they were almost insignificant, yet over time, some of these coins managed to escape heavy circulation, preserving their original condition in a way that would later catch the attention of collectors. These are the coins that hold potential, not because they are rare in number, but because they are rare in quality. In the collector's world, the phrase, "condition is everything," is not just a saying, it is a rule that defines the entire market. A worn 1986 D penny tells a story of use and time, but it holds little monetary value. On the other hand, a perfectly preserved example, with sharp details, vibrant red luster, and no visible imperfections, becomes something entirely different. It transforms into a collectible, a piece of history frozen in time, and a representation of what the coin looked like the moment it left the mint. Then, there are the rare exceptions, the coins that carry errors or unusual features that set them apart from the rest. These are the true treasures, the ones that collectors dream of finding. Whether it is a double die, an off-center strike, or a unique planchet error, these variations are the result of imperfections in the minting process, and ironically, it is these imperfections that create value. They turn a common coin into something unique, something that cannot be easily replaced, and therefore something that collectors are willing to pay a premium for. The fascination with coins, like the 1986 D penny, also reveals something deeper about human nature. People are naturally drawn to the idea of hidden value, to the possibility that something overlooked or underestimated could turn out to be incredibly important. This is why stories of valuable pennies continue to circulate, even when they are exaggerated or misunderstood. They inspire curiosity, they encourage exploration, and they remind us to pay attention to the details in the world around us. From a practical standpoint, if you were to search for a valuable 1986 D penny today, your chances of finding one worth a significant amount of money are relatively low, but not impossible. The key is knowledge. Knowing what to look for, understanding grading standards, recognizing genuine errors, and being able to distinguish between hype and reality are the tools that separate successful collectors from casual observers. It is not about luck alone, it is about awareness and persistence. The current market value of a typical 1986 D penny remains very modest. Most examples are worth only their face value, especially if they are circulated. Uncirculated coins in good condition can be worth a few cents to a few dollars, and high-grade certified examples can reach higher values depending on demand. Error coins, as always, hold the highest potential, with some selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars if they are particularly rare and well-preserved. These are real, documented possibilities, grounded in actual sales, and collector interest. So where does the $198 million claim fit into all of this? It serves as a reminder to question information, to verify facts, and to understand the difference between possibility and probability. While it is technically possible for any object to be listed at any price, true value is determined by what someone is willing to pay, and that is established through real transactions, not speculation. In that sense, the $198 million figure becomes more of a symbol, a representation of the dream that drives people to search, learn, and engage with the world of coin collecting. As you step back and look at the 1986 penny one last time, it no longer appears as just a simple coin. It becomes a gateway into a fascinating world where history, art, economics, and human curiosity all intersect. It teaches you that value is not always obvious, that details matter, and that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest stories. And perhaps the most important lesson of all is this: every coin you come across has the potential to teach you something, whether it is about history, craftsmanship, or the way value is perceived and created. The 1986 penny may not make you a millionaire, but it can certainly make you more observant, more curious, and more aware of the hidden details that exist all around you. And now, as everything settles into place, the story of the 1986 1-cent coin reaches its most powerful point, not in numbers, not in exaggerated claims, but in the realization of what this tiny object truly represents in a much bigger world. Because in the end, this is not just about a coin, it is about perspective, about how something so small can carry layers of meaning that most people never stop to notice. Think about it for a moment. A single penny, something people often ignore, sometimes even throw away, yet it has traveled through time, through hands, through moments of exchange, quietly witnessing countless lives without ever being acknowledged. It has no voice, no motion, yet it carries history within its metal, stamped with a year that connects it to a specific moment in the past, a place where machines pressed its shape into existence, and a system that released it into the world with a purpose so simple, yet so enduring. The 1986 penny is not rare in the traditional sense, and it is not worth millions of dollars in reality. But what makes it powerful is the idea that it could have been something more under the right circumstances. That one tiny error, that one perfect condition, that one overlooked detail, those are the things that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. And that idea does not just apply to coins, it applies to everything in life. In the world of collecting, the difference between something worthless and something valuable is often invisible to the untrained eye. It is hidden in the smallest details, the tiniest imperfections, the subtle characteristics that only reveal themselves to those who take the time to look closely. And that is the real lesson here. Value is not always loud, it is not always obvious, and it is rarely found on the surface. Somewhere out there, maybe in a jar, maybe in a drawer, maybe even in your own pocket right now, there could be a coin that is different. A coin that has something unique about it. A coin that carries a story waiting to be discovered. And the only thing standing between that coin and its true value is attention, because most people will never look twice. They will spend it, drop it, ignore it, move on without ever realizing what they had. But a collector, a curious mind, a person who understands that even the smallest things deserve a second look, that person sees the world differently. That person turns ordinary into opportunity. And this is where the journey truly becomes yours. Not just as someone watching or listening, but as someone who now knows what others don't. Someone who understands that coins are not just currency, they are pieces of history, fragments of time, small artifacts that carry stories far bigger than their size. You now know how to look, what to check, what matters, and what doesn't. You know that condition, detail, and rarity define value, not hype, not rumors, not unrealistic numbers. So, the next time a penny comes into your hand, don't rush. Pause for a second. Look at it. Notice the year, the mint mark, the shine, the details. Ask yourself, is this just another coin, or is there something more here? Because that moment, that simple act of paying attention, is where everything begins. And maybe, just maybe, you won't find a $198 million coin, but you might find something even more valuable, the ability to see what others miss, to understand what others ignore, and to turn the smallest discoveries into something meaningful.